Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me, and in this video we're going to actually test our form by building a login form. So before we get started, I made a bit of a mistake. So every time we render a component, I have it so it renders the attributes and then the text. So like for instance, let's say we go down to, I think a good example would be the link here. I did attributes text. Here, attributes and then no text. And that creates a problem because in our component class here, I have our content and then our attributes. Well, what we can do is to fix this is just cut that and then move it to here. Now this will fix our form, but that also leaves an issue with our component class. I was doing some testing to make sure that everything works. As you can see, it gives an error because now we're trying to render the for each loop on something that's not text. So what we can do is if we remove the text from like this div here, and then our h1, we can pass an empty array. So now this one here, I guess it's going to require us to pass some sort of class or something, which, okay, so that got rid of that one. So now all that's left is the actual button, which honestly we can, because if we remove this content here and do attribute string here, save that, that should, there we go, that fixes everything. So now that we've fixed that, we can actually just remove all this now because we're not going to use it. We are using Bootstrap, if you remember, in our layout. We added Bootstrap, so we're going to use Bootstrap for this form, and we're just going to start building the form. So we're going to say $login. You know what? Just do $form is equal to new form. And I'm not going to pass anything through because by default, the form is going to submit back to the current URL that we're on. And then it submits via post. Now, if you wanted to change that to like http://api.cns.test or whatever you're doing, which we can do that, you would just put it through here like that. In fact, I'll just leave it like that. So I'm going to create a header, $. Or you know what? Let's add some form attributes first. So we'll say $form set attributes, like so. And we're just going to pass an array. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a class. And let me just add that. Okay. Let's see. What would make this look good? We'll do a container. We'll do p-4 for the padding. We'll do a border rounded, and then we'll do text-white and bg-. So we'll do with w-50. I think that's the Bootstrap class for that. Let's take a look. I gotta actually put something in here. You know what? That's perfect because we'll render our next part of the components. We'll say $header is equal to new components, and we'll do a div, and then pass in a class of text center. We'll just say login to your, like so. Hold on, I forgot to actually make that work. So we'll do $form and general component header, and then we'll also echo the render for the form. Now, if we refresh, as you can see, it now adds those. So what we can do is, in the form, we can actually do it's already set as a container. I don't know what the max. I don't use Bootstrap very often. I've been using a lot of Tailwind. So I think what I'm doing is I'm just going to do a style like so, and then do max width of 400 pixels and refresh that. There we go. And then we can do E dash, I don't know, we'll do just so that way it's not just touching our. Okay, we'll just add the style manual. So we'll do margin, instead, just do 100 pixels. There we go. Perfect. So next up, we can create a label for our username. So we'll say $label username is equal to new component label, and then we'll do username like that, and then inside the for, and then username. Make that look a little bit nicer. So $login form. $form. This isn't a general component. This is a custom component. And that's for our username, and then we'll do our label username. Next up, we actually need an input for our username. So we'll do $form input, and we can do username, and this is going to be type of text, and then we'll need an ID, so we'll do our username for the ID, and then we'll do a class of form control, margin bottom 2, and then I'll do a placeholder. Do username as a placeholder. Perfect. And I think what I can do, what I'll do is I'll copy these two, and then we'll do label password. This is password. Set this to password, and then we'll do label password. Change this for password. Now we'll input. Change this to password. And then this would be type password. ID will be password. Placeholder will be password. Well, we can do do something like that. And then we can change this placeholder to be username. And we'll leave the class the same, like so. Okay. Let's just take a look and see how this is coming out. Perfect. So we have our username and our password. If we click on the little text or the labels here, it auto inserts our cursor, and that's exactly what we want. So next up, we can do, we'll do, what should I, oh, I know, we need a submit button. So we'll say $form, input, submit, and we'll do, that's going to be login. Then we'll say class, and we'll do btn dash primary, then w, was it w dash 100 or w dash full? I think it was w dash 100. Quite remember. Yep, it was w dash 100. Okay. So that creates our login button. Now, if we really want to, we can now add a div, so we can do a $form, set form wrapping. Now, we are using Bootstrap, so it should automatically add the there. So we'll just do true, and we don't have to add the array. And then we'll do this for login, username, and password. Now this won't visually change much, as you can see, but if we inspect element, there should now be a div around these inputs. As you can see, we have our form group with our label and our input, and that's exactly what we wanted. Now, if we were to go and add some classes, we could, if you remember in our form, I think it was here. There it is. At the end, we can add class names. This is not actually set to be an array, it's set to be a string. So this is written wrong. You know what? Well, I'll come back to this. I'll do a complete video on fixing the set to actually accept classes. I'll do a full-on video on that. Okay, so back to our form. We could add $form under our, it should be on top of, well, we can do it under the password or on top of the password. Say $form, add input, and we'll call this, we'll give this the name of, what should I name this? We'll do resets, and then this will be the type of, I forgot what I called the type for links. Option, render link. I input type. Oh, I didn't actually add a link. Okay, so we'll create another switch statement here. we'll do case link, and then render this link. And our input for, I guess it doesn't matter what we put for the input, but we do need to put the text. No, it doesn't matter what we put the input because that's going to have our href and everything. $text, $input. So, or I guess this would be $name because that's what we're getting from here. So we'll call this reset like that. Reset. And then we can do href. Be something like that. Let's see. That's generating an input. And I think that's because I have this backwards. Yeah. So you reset. So it's gonna just create the reset button. So name, input, type. By default, that type is set to an input. There might be a better way to do this. Something like that. Oh, I know. I can change this type manually by doing type like that. So that adds the link there. href. I'm pretty sure this actually is a button. Let's see what the HTML actually is being generated. Okay. Yeah, so it's actually creating an input. And that's because the default type is input. And if I were to form an inputs, so the last one for our rendering type. So if I were to go and change this here to be there we go. So it now creates that link. And then you can use CSS to place this wherever you want. But as you see, it actually works. And so what we had to do was change this to a type of link here. and then it uses this as the actual text. And we do need this reset, although I think you can just pass it as a empty string and it should still work, which it does. And then the only thing that's really required for it to go anywhere is this href. So you can remove that type like so. Okay. I think that's going to be it for the login form. I mean, this is pretty much all we really need. And if you do click login, it takes you to the API, which I think is where, yeah, API/test, and then you can do /user login, set whatever API route you want. And you can see, and then on the back end, you can go and add validators and stuff like that. And then you can also use JavaScript for front-end validation. But this creates our login form. As you can see, we didn't have to generate any of the HTML ourselves. This class generated it for us. So anyways, if you're enjoying the series and you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.